Hello there. Thanks for choosing to watch our review of End of Oak Street. It's been 24 hours since I've watched the film, and honestly, all I can say is wow, it is incredible. It's probably one of the best films I've seen this year. When I saw the first trailer, I was really excited because I thought this film was going to give us what the Jurassic Park franchise has failed to do properly, and that is showing us dinosaurs in towns amongst the general population causing absolute carnage. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been waiting since the mid-90s to see this. Then when I read more about the film and I found out the street was transported back in time, I felt a little disappointed as I thought it was just going to be another film in another jungle with dinosaurs. And we've seen this again and again and again. I've never been more pleased to be wrong. I genuinely think this is one of the best films of the year. Certainly one of my favourite films of the year so far. And maybe even going on my top 5 film list. But I'd have to replace something on the list, which is a tough decision. Anyway, something I want to touch on before I go any further is some of the reviews that I've watched in the days leading up to the film's release, posted by people who've been invited to previews of the film. They've all said virtually the same thing. It kind of felt like this.
You will recommend Breaking Bad to everyone you know.
I will recommend Breaking Bad to everyone I know.
It felt like they've been given a list of things that they must say. Mention Amblin Entertainment, keep talking about the split diopter shots, say at least 3 times that Anne Hathaway is having an amazing year. And the reason I mention this is because I'm going to try and avoid repeating it. Other than to say that the film reminded me more of Stand By Me and the Clown movies, and less like the old Amblin movies. And I also want to do a separate video about David Robert Mitchell at some point, so I'll probably discuss the split diopter shots there. As I've already said about 1 million times already, I absolutely adore this movie. But I like to try and give a balanced review, so I'll stick to a similar style as my previous videos and I'll do did likes and didn't likes. I really enjoy how well they've married 2 totally separate things. You've got the indie film style and camera work and edit decisions mixed with this Hollywood big blockbuster CGI chaos, and it genuinely works really well. One thing in particular is the lack of constant cuts. You get this in a lot of TV shows and mainstream cinema. There'll be a conversation between 2 people and it cuts to a different angle every 2 seconds, medium shot wide to close up to reverse to medium, and I just find it really exhausting. It's really difficult to exist in a scene and to really feel the emotion of the scene when it's cut in so often. And I feel that Oak Street's really nailed this. We have a few great conversations where we just stay on one shot just for perhaps a little bit too long, and it lingers there and gives you enough time to really exist in that moment. And there's also a great moment where the teen daughter Audrey, played by Maisie Stella, has gone to sit in the car and just have some time to herself. She turns the radio on, plays Valerie by Steve Winwood, and just sits in the car and cries. And it was incredible. We just have this slow pan in and it feels like we're sitting in the car with her, sharing her emotions, but then very quickly we're back into this Hollywood blockbuster style dinosaur attack like the Tomorrow War or some of the Jurassic Park action sequences. The way they have mixed some really authentic and heartfelt moments with such bananas action is really impressive, and it's seamless as well. One thing that stood out to me though was the runtime. It's not often that I say this these days, but it just wasn't long enough. The runtime of the film is 99 minutes, which is about half hour shy of the typical modern day film. I feel like a lot of films these days need to find ways of wrapping things up quicker, but with this one I just felt like the end was rushed. We have this genuinely heartbreaking and shocking moment with Ewan McGregor, which leaves Anne Hathaway and 3 kids heartbroken and still fighting to survive. And I'm sat there thinking, God, how are they going to get out of this one? And then what seems like 3 minutes later, they're jumping through a portal, Ewan McGregor's back, and everything is well. And I just would have enjoyed some more time spent with Hathaway and the kids, traversing this nightmare landscape and dealing with the loss of McGregor. In many ways, the movie felt like a great episode of The Outer Limits and constructed in a similar way, where the piece is mainly middle. You get a pretty short start, massive story in the middle, and then everything's wrapped up very quickly at the end. I am wondering if there's potential for a sequel here. I would have liked the end point to be where the town gets sent back in time again, and we're in the modern world now with dinosaurs. It's a nice open ending which leaves space for a sequel but also works if one's never made. Notwithstanding my little moan about the generic reviews I've seen online, I actually thought Anne Hathaway was amazing in this movie, and I know a lot of people will point to her role in The Odyssey as an example of her brilliance. After all, she's having a great year. But I actually think this film really showed her range as an actress. We get to see so many facets of Denise Platt, and I generally think there's not many other performers that could have pulled this one off. We have this very sincere moment with Anne Hathaway and the elderly neighbour. In the movie, Hathaway's character is secretly writing a novel, and there's a neighbour that's been helping her edit what she's written. And there's this moment where the neighbour mentions editing her husband's writing for decades and how ungrateful he was, and we realise that this old lady is the future that Anne Hathaway wants to avoid. Spending her life with a husband she doesn't feel appreciates her, and she plays it perfectly. And then in the next minute, she's Sarah Connor with a shotgun shooting at a T-Rex, and she holds it so well. And then later she's crashing out at her son after the death of McGregor, and in each one of these moments she's fully believable, and I just felt like it was a very honest and meaningful performance, which is a weird thing to say about a balls out crazy film, very much like Snakes on a Plane. There's this one real weird moment that comes out of nowhere, happens, and then all of a sudden it resets back to normal, and it just doesn't really make any sense. And the confusion at the moment kind of pulled me out of the film for a couple of minutes. So in the movie, the boy of the family, Brian, played by Christian Convery, he's had some trouble with a local bully, and earlier in the movie they're chasing him and he has to hide from them. So fast forward to midway through the film, Brian's out looking for his dog Starbuck, and the bully just appears out of nowhere, beats the crap out of him, apologises and vanishes again, and you're sort of sitting there thinking, why has that just happened? What does that mean? And I half expected this to be a moment where the bully and Brian work together to find the dog and Brian saves him in some way or another. But before I'd finished guessing the plot, the bully had vanished and on we go. And it just made absolutely no sense. I loved the lack of importance that they had for logic in this movie. I am an absolute die-hard science fiction guy. I'm bored of things always having to be scientifically watertight. It's such a bizarre thing because science fiction is the most imaginative genre, yet it's the only one that's held to such rigorous standards when it comes to things being realistic. People will watch a horror film with a giant clown or John Wick fall down Mount Everest's amount of stairs and be like, yeah bro, that's badass. But then they'll watch something like this and be like, actually I think you'll find that time travel portals wouldn't just appear out of nowhere like that. Einstein never mentioned these. And I'm like, come on man, let's just have some cool shit happen and not worry too much about how realistic it might be. In the movie, we have a quick mention of my version of Jesus Christ, which is Carl Sagan, and then some chat about time holes, and that's it, on with the adventure, which is so cool to see for a change. And I just like the fact that they've kind of had the courage to be like, look, there's some time holes here, it's not really important, let's just watch the film. And it's so cool, but I'm sure a lot of people may disagree with that point of view, and that's fine. I would have liked to have seen some practical dinosaurs. The CGI was fine, to be fair, and to be honest I was so engaged with the movie that I didn't take too much time really assessing the detail of the dinosaurs, but you could tell they were all CGI. The scene in Jurassic Park where the kids are stuck in the car still holds up today, 30 plus years later, because it was a massive robotic dinosaur. And when that beast is trying to eat the boy and girl through the roof of the car and the only thing that's protecting them is the thin glass of the sunroof, it's incredible. And it feels real because it is real. Incidentally, I remember reading there was a malfunction with that part of the film and the T-Rex moved a lot faster and closer than planned, so the fear that you see on the faces of those children is genuine fear and they've probably been traumatised for life. But it's a good scene. I guess what I'm saying is it feels like there's been a big effort to make the characters seem really real and relatable, and it really works well, but then the dinosaurs don't really evoke much emotion beyond jump scares because there's nothing really there, and the actors are probably reacting to a tennis ball or something random. I'm not sure what the budget on this film was, but if there's a sequel, and I hope there is, I hope they build some big old feathered dinosaur robots to terrorise sleepy middle America. This is just a small one, but I really feel that the huge pile of poop in the neighbour's backyard was definitely a reference to the infamous huge pile of shit scene in Jurassic Park 1. One of my all-time favourite Jeff Goldblum moments, second only to this. I wish it had been a higher certificate. Every review that I've read speaks of the fact that it's a PG-13 movie and they've really pushed the limits on what they can get away with. And to be fair, they really have. There's some shocking moments in that film, but I would have loved to have seen some more gore and horror, some genuinely scary moments. David Robert Mitchell's previous films are one of the reasons that made me curious about Oak Street. It Follows has this perfect balance of Heartfelt and emotional coming-of-age tropes mixed with some of the most genuinely scary moments I've seen in a movie, and the positioning of these two contradictory elements really played off each other well, and the presence of one element made the other element more impactful, like a perfect symbiosis between the two. We could have had similar moments in this movie, heartfelt and sincere moments of a struggling family all dealing with the challenges at their points in life, being positioned with absolutely crazy levels of dinosaur gore and terror. Keeping it a low certificate film obviously opens it up to a wider audience, but that also means we've lost a little of what makes Mitchell's writing and directing so good. In a PG-13 movie, you're only allowed one F-bomb. Guardians of the Galaxy used this wisely and it was hilarious, but I feel that Oak Street's topped it with this one. And what's funny is, while I was watching the film, I kept getting hints of Rick and Morty. Well, the Smith family in Rick and Morty, Greg as Jerry, Denise as Beth, Audrey as Summer, Brian as Morty. And then this was further compounded by the fact that Ewan McGregor is carrying a sledgehammer for a weapon for most of the film, and it just evoked these images of Jerry and Mr. Crowbar. And the whole Greg as Jerry thing was then cemented when Greg says, "Are those fucking dinosaurs?" And I just couldn't stop laughing. It was perfect. The death of Greg. My God, this is the saddest thing that I've ever experienced in a movie. It hurt more than the death of Clive Owen at the end of Children of Men. We have this brilliant scene with Greg posing for a photo in front of the mating dinosaurs, which was genuinely hilarious. That follows this incredible scene where Greg rescues Denise from the T-Rex and knocks it down with Mr. Sledgehammer, and I'm sitting there all excited, full of pride for the hero. Then he gets picked up by the dino and I'm waiting for Denise to return the rescue and blast him with a shotgun, and then wham, Greg's being eaten. It genuinely gutted me. Why would they do that to us? Why give us two incredible moments with Greg and Denise only to rug pull and just break all our hearts? I genuinely sat in the cinema like, what the hell has just happened? But it was good and it was effective and it worked well, just like the rest of the film. We live in an era where streaming services has killed the DVD market, and as a result we've lost a lot of financially risky but imaginative narratives in mainstream cinema. It used to be that if a film didn't make enough during its theatrical release, then there was a good chance it could still make bank on the DVD release, but without that safety net, studios just aren't willing to take risks. So we keep getting the same films over and over again, Fast and Furious 492 or reboot after reboot after reboot. Disney animation that turned it into a live action. This year I felt things were a little different. The last minute decision to give Zack Creggers Weapons a theatrical release sort of paved the way for more indie type narratives in cinemas. So then we got the incredible Backrooms and Obsessions earlier this year. Tiny budget, high concept indie films thrust into the mainstream market and loved by all. And I feel that Oak Street is another great example of this, and the hope is that it's the start of something new. I feel that Oak Street really shows that you can have indie camera work and editing style, low budget aesthetics and creative problem solving and mix it with big Hollywood action and adventure, and it really works. It felt like such an authentic movie, not some hollow Hollywood rerun dressed in an indie film costume like we've seen so many times before, but a genuine film with believable and relatable characters and moments that you really felt you were sharing with the characters, and period pieces that didn't just feel like it was a fancy dress party. I'm so pleased that we didn't see a single Rubik's Cube in this entire movie. My eyes hurt just from thinking about Stranger Things. I'm genuinely intrigued to see how the public responds to this one, as I feel that if it goes down well, we could finally see a lot more good films and more studios willing to take the risk on more left field ideas. Anyway, that's it for this review. I'm considering putting together a couple of other videos about Oak Street in the coming days, so look out for them. And I also just want to say we've had some incredibly positive comments on our videos recently, and it has meant the world to us. To see people responding well to the content that we're putting out, it just makes us feel good, and we are so grateful. So I just wanted to thank everyone that's commented or shared or liked our videos. It really does mean a lot. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe and share, because it does help us out, and thank you.